Okay, so in this lesson, we will simplify expressions using the distributive property. That's what we did last time, but this time we are going to show equivalence. All right, so in this one, this first expression says 4 times x plus 2. That means you're multiplying 4 by x and 4 by positive 2. So 4 times x is a 4x. So once again, a positive times a positive is a positive. 4 times x is 4x. A positive times a positive is a positive. 4 times 2 is 8. So remember, we're multiplying 4 times 2, and we get positive 8. So plus 8. All right, so remember, we can't forget that this expression here and this expression here are equivalent. They just look different. So for the expressions 4 times x plus 2 and 4x plus 8 are equivalent. They just look different. Okay, so how do we show that they're equivalent? Remember, we substitute in any value of x. Remember to be careful about 0 because it makes everything kind of weird. It makes multiplication weird. So let's go ahead and let's make x 3. So x is 3. So instead of 4 times x plus 2, you have 4 times 3 plus 2. Remember that x is now a 3. Remember, we always do order of operations. So we do everything in parentheses first. 3 plus 2 is 5. So 4 times 5, the only last multiplication is a 20. So let's write our new expression, our equivalent expression, which is 4x plus 8. That means 4 times 3 plus 8. Don't forget this x and this x have to be the same. They can be any number, but they have to be the same. 4 times 3 is 8 because multiplication comes before addition. And 12 plus 8 is 20. And 20 is 20. All right, let's try it. We have 2 more. So in this problem reads 3x times x minus 5. So 3x times x, 3x times minus 5. So our first one is 3x times x. Remember, 3 times, if you need the 1, we put the 1 there. 3 times 1 is 3. X times x is x squared. The next time we multiply 3x times 5. And we treat it 5 like it's a negative, though. 3x times negative 5. So a positive times a negative is a negative, so minus. 3 times 5 is 15. X is, there's no more, x. So let me summarize again. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times minus 5 is negative 15. This means that the expressions 3x times x minus 5 and 3x squared minus 15x are equivalent. They just look different. This time let's choose a different number for x. Let's choose 4. So x equals 4. So instead of 3 times a number times a number, that same number minus 5, we're going to write 3 times 4 times 4 minus 5. Remember the x's, we substitute in a 4 in for the x. Let's do everything inside of parentheses first. 4 minus 5, so this reads 3 times 4 times, remember this is still in parentheses, 4 minus 5 is not 1, it's negative 1. So we have if we're doing order of operations, we finished everything inside of parentheses. We don't have any exponents. We do multiplication and division from left to right. So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times negative 1 is negative 12. Remember, though, that multiplication can be done in any order. So if you really wanted to, you could have multiplied the 4 and the negative 1. You would have got negative 4, and then negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. So let's go ahead and use our other equivalent expression. So instead of 3x squared minus 15x, we are going to substitute in 4 for x. So 3 times 4 squared minus 15 times 4 again. So if we look here, everything inside of parentheses is done. Like there's nothing to do inside. There's nothing to do inside. We have an exponent. Yes, we do. 4 to the second power. Remember, this is not 8. This is 4 times 4, which is 16. Minus 15 times 4. Now, we're doing multiplication from left to right and division. So 3 times 16. 3 times 16 is 48. Minus 15 times 4. Remember, we can treat this 15 like it's a negative. We still got to multiply before we subtract. Remember, we got to multiply. We got to finish this. 15 times 4. Well, 15 times 2 is 30. 30 times 2 is 60. So a negative times a positive is a negative. And 48 minus 60, there are more negatives. There are 12 more negatives left over. Let's do it one more time just to make sure you got it. Remember, if you ever get a y and you feel uncomfortable with it, or a negative y, you can always put the 1 if it makes you feel better. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. So we have a negative y times negative 3y, and then negative y times minus 4. So you have negative y times negative 3y, and negative y times negative 4. So let's do this. So a negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 3 is 3. Y times y is y to the second power. A negative times a, we treat this like a negative, is a positive. So plus 1 times 4 is 4. Don't forget the y. There was a y there. So y times nothing, no more y's over here. It's just y. So, the expression, you know this part right here. They're equivalent, they just look different. So, let's go ahead and make y something simple this time. No, for y'all's sake, let's make it a little different. Let's make it 5. So, instead of negative y times negative 3y minus 4, we would put negative, I like to put this in parentheses. Remember, that's why I always do it, so I don't mess it up. Negative parentheses 5 times negative 3 times 5 minus 4. Let's do everything inside of parentheses first. So nothing's inside of here. But there is math to be done inside of this one, this set of parentheses. So a negative into positive is a negative. We are not finished inside of this, so let's continue. Negative 15 minus 4. So that's negative 19. Now, remember, this is a 1 if you want to put it there. So a negative into positive is a negative. Okay. Now, if you need to see this, we can show it to you. So a negative, I like to leave that there for a second. Let me leave it off. So I'm just going to put 19 times 5. So 45. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4 is 9. Don't forget that a negative times a negative is a positive. So we should get 95 if we substitute in 5 for the y in this new expression. Well, this equivalent, one will say. So 3 times 5 to the second power plus 4 times 5. So everything in parentheses is done. There's only 5, there's only 5. Let's check for exponents. Oh, exponent right here. 5 times 5. Remember, that's not 5 times 2. That's 5 times 5 is 25. Remember that we have to multiply and divide from left to right before we add and subtract. So 3 times 25. And you know that we're going to do this one next. You know that we're just going to write it down and do 4 times 5. Positive times a positive, right? So let's just do it now. Positive times a positive is a positive 20. And so plus 20. So 75 plus 20 is 95. Okay, thank you.